Do, 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 do. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. All right. So today we are here to start our first session of coding class, and just want to share this live. So let's just hold on before we start our coding. Okay, so today we are going to start with our first session of coding, and if you are now joining, you can just go backwards to check out how we code. All right, so that's what we are going to do today. And as I said, we are going to use the HTML, the CSS, the JS, and then we add a little bit of bootstrap to it. Our main focus is just to build a fantastic system, which can be a website, which can be a gaming uh, web thing. Yeah, So that's what we are going to currently do right now. So if you are joining, just know that this is a coding class with Pronimos. So you can just go back and then we gotta go. Alright, so now this is what the coding class. Let's now start with our coding. Now today what you are going to need is my whiteboard, which you are currently seeing right now, and then you are also going to need a Visual Studio Code. So as you can see, my Visual Studio Code has nothing, it's just blank, so I'm now going to start from step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That's what we are going to do, and what we are going to currently use is the HTML5. That's what we are going to use it for the coding. Okay, so we will then start by writing some few things. Now if you are joining, as I said, if you are joining, just go backwards and then you watch from the beginning. As time goes on, you catch up. Yeah, so first and foremost, we need to write our code. Now our foundation or our structure is the HTML, which we all know that HTML is the structure, where the CSS add a bit of body to it, and then the JS perform every task that it needs to be performed. Now HTML, as we all know, so HTML that we know is the body, sorry, is the structure where we are going to perform everything that we need to do with. Yeah, so that's the structure, and then the CSS is the body. Okay, CSS is the body, and then the JS is where things needs to perform. It's more like the engine of the whole system, like the human body. God created the human being, and then after creating human beings, now human beings can move with their hand, their legs, they can talk. That's the work of the JS. Talking, moving hand, performing action. That's the work of. And then you see how some are fair, some are dark, some are beautiful. Yes, that's the work of the CSS. And now the whole structure, the whole skeleton is the HTML. So today we are going to use the HTML5. That's what we are going to use. Now HTML has a way of it entering its codes. Yes, it has a way of entering its codes, and then you can see that uh, when you want to start writing something in HTML5, all you need to do is you need to stick to a certain way of writing your code. Yes, so HTML code mostly start with the doc doc type. Now the doc type I'm talking about has to start with something that I used to call it the greater than or less than because of mathematics. So we have the greater than, we have the less than. Now these two things that you are seeing here, these two symbols that you are seeing, this one and that one, are called the greater than, the less than. To me, that's what I've been calling them. Yes, because mass, you have the greater and you have the less. Now that's the opening of an HTML code. Any HTML code start with these two symbols. That's the open. Now for you to close an HTML code, you need to close it this way, slash, and then you close it that way. That's how to close an HTML code. Yes, so for you to create close an HTML code, you have to use these three symbols. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a code. That's the first one that I said. Before we move on to our Visual Studio Code, this is what we are going to do. So with this one, which is our less than, and then we write our doc. So we write our doc type. So the doc type, and then we do what? We write this way. Now this is a wrong way of writing your doc type. As you know, this is a wrong way of writing your doc type. So all you need to do is you bring your exclamation sign, which is that's how to. So for you to get your exclamation sign, that's mostly on your keyboard. That will be 1. So you press on shift 1, and now you write your doc type, and then you write space HTML. Then you close it this way. All right, so this is how to close it. So if you follow this in your Visual Studio Code, which I'm going to do right now, you are going to get the same thing. So I'm going to copy. I'm not going to go back to Visual Studio Code to do that. So I'm going to copy the whole of this. I'm going to copy the whole of highlight, copy. Now if I move to my Visual Studio Code right now, this is what I have to do. So that ended. All right, so we are moving on to our Visual Studio Code, and that's what we are going to do. Now when you look at your Visual Studio Code, this is what you are going to do. Whatever we copied from there, so we'll come to this side, we'll create a new file. So we are creating a new file here. So you click on new file. All right, most of the times I mostly go with the shortcut by using the Control N, which creates me a new file. So I'll create a new file, and then so you creating a new file helps you to get access to. So this is how, so you can see this is how your Visual Studio Code has to be. Now what am I going to do? I'm supposed to type the whole thing again, but because I copied from the whiteboard, I'm just going to paste it right here like this. Now this shows you that this is an HTML file that you are going to work with. Now what are we going to do in our next thing? Our next thing is, let's move back to our whiteboard again. When we move back to our whiteboard, I'm going to show you the next thing that we have to do. Now what we did first, that's the doc type. That's what we are telling the browser we are using on the HTML5. Yes, that's what we are doing. Now we are moving on to the next thing, and the next thing that we are moving on to is we are going to tell what the HTML has to the language that he should recognize. Now that's what we are going to do right now. Now, as I said, for here we are not closing anything, we just open it, that's all, we don't close it. So this is how to write your next line of code. That's the language side of the code. Now this is how to write it. As I said, your less than, and then you write HTML, then you write lang means language. All right, then you bring your equal sign like this. Sorry, I have to space this, I have to open this thing up, and you write lang equals, oh sorry, lang equals, then you bring your quotations, so quotations, and then you write en means English, and then you do this way to close it with this, and then now you're greater than. All right, so this is how to also write the language. So open the HTML tag with the language set to English for accessibility, so people have to be able to access, because most people speak English, so that's how to go with. But if you have to go with other language, like different language, you realize that we will change the en to the code of that language. So I'm going to also copy this one. I'm not going to write it in the HTML in the Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to copy. Now what do? I have to go back to my, I'm going back to my HTML, my Visual Studio Code. So as I go to my Visual Studio Code, I'm just going to paste that one also right where here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to also post it right here. So enter on line 2. So that was line 1, and this is line 2. So just paste it here. Now I'm having HTML language, that's the 2. All right, so line 2 have the language side. Now we move on. We are moving on. So we are moving on. That's 2. All right, that's the line 2. What are you going to do in line 3? Now I don't know which type of software you are using to code. I don't know if you are using Code Block. I don't know if you are using Visual Studio Code, and I don't know if you are using a phone. I know for phone, if you know any code app that you are using, which you are using on phone, you can drop in the comment section for people who are also using phone to also get to know this particular this particular code app that you are using. But I'm using Visual Studio Code due to laziness. Why am I saying laziness? Because with Visual Studio Code, everything comes on its own. Like even for me to type a long thing, these code things, it makes it more easier for me. Yes. Now let's move on to our next thing to do. Now our next thing to do is we are going to look for the head section that contains the whatever you are creating info. Okay, the chart sets for the characters, the viewpoints for even the mobile responsibility, and then the title for the the browser. That's what we are going to do. So currently, what are we going to do? We are going to start with something, and then as you know, we all have to move back to our whiteboard, because on the Visual Studio Code is very small. So as we are moving on to our whiteboard, this is what we are going to do on the whiteboard. All right, so let's clear. So on our whiteboard, all we need to do is you are going to have a head. All right, the head. As I said, the head section contains the page info. So the head section, we start with our less than again, and then we will type head. All right, head, and then all you need to do is you close it this way. This is not a closing, but just adding it to it. Now you come down. All right, so when you come down, you are going to also type this, and then you write meter, the chart set, then you bring your equal sign, then you bring your quotation, instead of equal sign I added plus, all right, then you write in caps UTF-8. All right, then you close it this way with your quotation, and then with your less than, your greater than. You move on to the next line. Please, I hope you are copying whatever I'm doing. If you are doing the same thing, just drop in the comment section that I'm copying. That's right, I'm copying everything, or I'm following. Yes, so we move on, then we write again, then we write meter. Sorry, it has to be in small letters. So meter name. Why name? Equals, I'll explain to you. Equals, then you write viewpoint. All right, now the reason why you are writing meter name equals viewpoint is on your address bar, what you want people to see on your address bar, that it is. So with this, that's what people are going to see on the address bar. Now what do? We are supposed to continue. This time we are not closing it, because you are going to add the content which also equals the width. So as I said, we are dealing with how the viewpoints for even mobile to respond to the viewpoint width. The width equals device, then dash width again, and then our comma, and then we will initiate. All right, initiate dash with a scale. So let me open let's, I don't know if you can see. Okay, let me take it up. So initiate, then we will type scale 1. Scale equals 1.0. Then we close it with our quotations, and now we'll come down to our title, and then close it. What is the title of what are we doing? We are doing something, so we are doing that will be our first project. So we go with Pronimos first project. You can type whatever you want to type in there. Pronimos YT code. That's what I'm going to write. Then what do I need to do? This is where you are going to see how to close your title. This is how to close your title. Your less than, your slash, and you write title, then you close it this way with your greater than. Now this is how to write your heading section for your page. That's how to write a section for your page. So now I'm going to do what? I'm going to just copy, and then move straight to my Visual Studio Code, as you know. So I'll come to my Visual Studio Code, and then I'm going to just straight to Visual Studio Code, and I'm just going to paste it right there. There's no need for me to worry myself of coding again, because I know you people want to see what is going on. So what do? Control V. Now as you can see, this code has something. What does this code have? You can see that there is a red, the title has turned to red. It means that there have been some errors in this code. All right, there have been some errors in this code. Yes, there are some errors in this code. So let's solve these errors. Okay, let's solve these errors. We are going to solve the errors, because if you don't solve it, it is not going to help. Where am I? All right, so let's solve the errors first. So here is the error. You can see this one has turned red. It means that it's an error. Device. All right, there is an error here. So the error is what? The error is we omitted a quotation. Yes, so it has been fixed. The error has been fixed. Now what is the other error? The error is that we open it here, we forgot to close it. So this is what we do, we close it, boom. Now no more error. There is no more error in this code. Very good, there is no error in this code. So the error has been fixed. If you are following closely, you realize that the error has been not fixed. You can ask a question if there is a place that you don't understand, but the error has been fixed because that was the error. So let me go back to the whiteboard and fix that error. Now don't forget, I'm going to drop these codes in my Telegram channel where you can get so this was where the error was. We didn't close this one, and so we close it here, and then there was a place that we didn't close again, and we forgot that there was supposed to be a quotation here. Yes, so these were the two things that we omitted in our first code, and it has been fixed. So that's how to write your heading. All right, so we are moving on. As I said, we are moving on, and then let's try and then do something else. Now imagine that we are going to use a bootstrap to, bootstrap helps with the beautification of the whole thing. So if we're going to add a bootstrap to our code, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to write it. Now there is something called comment in coding. Comment helps you to locate wherever there is a mistake. So if you have a comment on every line of your code, you realize that if you need to identify a certain portion of your code to make some corrections to it, that's where you need to go. So without your comments, it's going to be very difficult. So we are going to write a comment here where we are going to use bootstrap. So bootstrap is going to help with the CSS. Note that bootstrap will help with the CSS. So this is how to write it. Don't forget that in HTML it goes like this, but in CSS you just write your style. In JSS you write your script, but the structure itself needs this greater than, less than, whole issue thing. All right, so let's write it this way. We shift and then we move with 2 dash our space. Then let me make it bold right now. Bootstrap CSS, and then so this is just a comment. All right, it's not anything, it's just a comment. Now note that in the attributes you realize that bootstrap is a link that we are going to get, then we add it to our whole system. So with our less than, then write link, then space the href. Now this href simply means hyperlink, all right, to the next page or to capture something from. It's more a link form. All right, so that's the link. Sign again. We start with our quotation. Where are we going to get this link from? The link is from H. So you write your hypertext protocol. Hypertext protocol / CDN. All right, CDN. Then you write your JS deliverer. So that's more of a deliverer. .net /npm /bootstrap. Now which type of bootstrap are we going to use? We are going to use the 5.3.0. Every version of it has .0. Then we move on to our slash. Then we move to our dist /css /bootstrap .mini .css. All right, then continue with our rel, which equals style. Is for yep. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Yes, please. Not really. Please, can I call you back? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Sorry. So let's continue. So the style with the sheet, style sheet, and then we're gonna close it this way. And don't forget that it's in the heading. It's part of the heading. All right. That's why we didn't add it. So it's part of the heading. And we kind of close it this way. And don't forget we are ending it because part of the heading. So go close, 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 close. All right, so that's how to also write the bootstrap. The last one here, which is the heading was part of the whole thing. So I'm going back to my Visual Studio Code and I'll let you know where the heading was. So Visual Studio Code. All right, so let's paste our code here. Now as you see, we started with the heading here at 3. So the reason why we are adding the heading down here, Control V, you see, now this 9, the line 9 is green because that's the comment. All right, that's the comment of the whole thing. Is the comment of the whole thing. Yep, the whole thing. So what do we need to do? We got to save this one into a folder. We have to save it into a folder. Checking how many minutes have we spent. All right, we got about 2 more minutes to end the first session. The first session was just 30 minutes, so we gotta end the first session. All right, so the first session, what we did was we wrote the document type, and then we came to the language, we wrote the heading, we added a comment. All right, so that's what we did for the first session, and then we are going to end here. We will resume back. Let me check the time. We resumed back at 10:30, and then we'll continue with our coding. We don't want to have a long session, 30 minutes break, and then we'll be back. So that's what we are going to do. So document HTML language equals en, which is English. We wrote our heading, we wrote our meta chassis, that's the UTF-8. Now the UTF-8, if you are using a notepad to code, it's going to be very simple. All right, it's going to be very simple. That's what you need to do. Okay, all right. Now we have our title. Also we wrote about the content. All right, so the content, I can put all the whole content in one. Yes, let me put it in one. Put it one, and I can also move this line here. All right, so that we have a simple line. We have about 9 lines of code. Now any code that you start, you need to end the code. That's why we started with the heading at this side, and then we ended at this side. Now if you can't see it clear, I'm going to copy the whole thing and I'm going to paste it in the whiteboard so that you can also copy the whole thing again. Okay. Oh, all right. So let's move on by moving on to our whiteboard. So that's our whiteboard, and clear everything, backspace. So let me enlarge this side.